Okay, Jackie Vautour, comment ça va? How are you doing? Better speak English. A lot of viewers are English. Province moved to dismiss Cushaboot lawsuit. This is March the 8th. That's just last week, huh?
That's correct.
What's the date today?
Today is the 12th.
12. Oh, 4 days ago. You're sharper than I am. Always. Okay. Is it time? We have media here in New Brunswick, but media is getting smaller and smaller and smaller by the month. There is nobody to cover issues. There's nobody to investigate stuff. Irving owns 98% of the newspapers. New Brunswick, the government, the justice system, they're getting away with murder because nobody truly investigates. You watch the Fifth Estate, W-5, shows like that is always in Ontario, Ontario, Ontario. Isn't it time for W-5 and the Fifth Estate, shows like that, to come here in New Brunswick and cover issues that could really let the public know what's going on here? Go ahead, your turn.
Well, yeah, something like that should happen for sure because, you know, they've been getting away with a lot of things here in the province of New Brunswick because of big enterprises taking over where little people are living. You know, you kind of have a great number of what you call the little people here in the province of New Brunswick and right through the Maritimes. And when you look at that and you have a few big enterprises that really takes charge, you know, you look back at when we speak of Irving's, you look back in 1969 when Louis Robichaud lost his election. Well, it was Casey Irving that took it away from him.
Yep.
And it was Casey Irving that had placed him there. Because I saw on TV, and every time the government caucus had meetings, old Casey Irving would be sitting in with them. You know, he'd be one of the masters of the saying at the table. And he told Louis, according to, and I haven't got proof of this, but what I'm saying, what I've heard, is that he told Louis, well, they had a squabble between them. Something went on between them that was not satisfying Casey Irving. And Casey told Louis, the next election you're out, and so he did.
Yeah, I hear that. But how do we put issues? You have issues. You have, like you said earlier, what's happening with Justin Trudeau, with that big scandal they're having. You said that this been going on for years and years and years in New Brunswick. But there's nobody to investigate.
No. And I believe this is right through the Maritimes, you know, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, you know. You can see the way matters are being dealt with, and, you know, it's not the same as when you cross over from Quebec and you enter into the western provinces. You know, everything seems to be different. And in the province of Quebec, you know, the federal government has to deal with them in a different way than what they deal with the maritime provinces here. Why? The maritime provinces should have someone to really look into the matters, what's going on here.
But we have no lawyers.
Instead of law and justice, you know, it's politically handled by big enterprises, and there's no doubt about that.
And we're talking about rights. We're talking about people's rights. And we can't get a lawyer, because if a lawyer, let's say, takes your case and wins a big lawsuit against anything against the government, that lawyer is going to be on the blacklist. He won't be hired by the provincial government or municipal government because it's so small, the lawyers. You have to follow, like, party line, like politics, party line, but the lawyers, same thing, you have to follow.
Well, I want to explain one thing. I went through 20 lawyers here in the province of New Brunswick.
20?
I hired some of them, and some was paid by legal aid. And the lawyers would go a certain distance and quit. They'd go another distance, another lawyer, and then he'd quit. I had lawyers that quit the same day that we were supposed to have the trial after going through matters for 2 or 3 years. And, you know, you could tell that something was mighty wrong about the matter, because everything was working real well until the day of the trial.
So somebody was a lawyer was talking to by
Well,
somebody.
there had to be some interference somewhere in order for that to happen. At one time, I must explain this further. At one time, they carried out an inquiry onto the Cushabeguac matter, while we had matters in court. We were in court at the time that the governments commenced an inquiry. See? Well, why didn't they wait for us to go to court? See? But they carried out the inquiry and then wrote out the report and gave the report to government while we had matters in court. So does that not mean that political matters were interfering into matters? That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about me for 30 seconds. I was charged with assault. Next thing you know, I had to get a lawyer through my supporters, paid $5,000. Lawyer was gung-ho. The day before the trial, his attitude changed. Next thing you know, he wanted me to sign a peace bond. And him and the prosecutor were side by side, begging to me in the hallway to sign a peace bond. I said, go, you know. And then next thing you know, there was a trial, and I was found not guilty. But so what happened? So what we need, what's happening in Ottawa right now, it's been happening, like you say, New Brunswick and the Maritimes for years and years and years, and it's still going on. So we need W-5 or the Fifth Estate or anyone that could really put this issue to the Canadian people or really what's going on here.
That's exactly right. You know, there has to be something or else it'll keep on going on. You know, they're trying to cover up the matter in Ottawa now of what happened last week. You know, but I don't know if they're going to be able to cover it up. But some of them really trying to cover it up. So once again, if it's covered up, where will we be? You know, we'll be another 50 or 100 years before something else happens again to bring out the facts of matters.
You, how about the internet? You don't have the internet here. What about put that information on Facebook or on the internet?
Well, I think it should be put there, you know, internet or Facebook. If it would be put in internet, I think it would go further on to some of the big guys who are either against or for what's going on in the country.
One more question. When do you plan to give up?
When St. Peter calls me to the gate.